Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Jones.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B. And VD is not here. He had an emergency. He had to pick up some car parts. He's hoping he can pop in a little bit late. But Ricky Sakat's in the chat already. Good afternoon and happy NCAA release day. And the latest Lions news is a good one and well-deserved. Hall of Famer Calvin Johnson is finally inducted to the Ring of the Lions honor, the Pride of the Lions. Hallelujah. It's been a long time coming. So he will have 81 retired and put into the rafters, and well deserved. In other news around the NFC North that came out overnight, JJ McCarthy has not signed his deal for his rookie deal with Minnesota, and they're starting to show some concern, at least in the beat writing community. So you got Caleb Williams and Roman Dunes not signing, JJ McCarthy not signing, and there's two other ones on insignificant teams they might not want to sign because they don't want to play. But is JJ McCarthy trying to exercise, hey, I'm a top 10 pick. I want to start. Maybe he's doing that. You just don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to talk crap. I'm just saying what the news is that's reported. But yes, congrats to Megatron. Love to see it. And Ricky Sakat says, Will Volk says, much deserved. Love Megatron. One of my favorite receivers to watch ever. You ain't a whistling Dixie. We're talking about a guy that still holds the record for most receiving yards in a season. So it is what it is. Randy Moss didn't beat it. Cooper Kupp didn't beat it. Puka Nacua didn't beat it. JJ didn't beat it. Jamar Chase didn't beat it. We're talking about some good receivers. Larry Fitzgerald didn't beat it. But Larry Fitzgerald, let's look at it. He was a different receiver. He was closer to Amon-Ra St. Brown than Calvin Johnson. He just ran great routes, had good hands, and would get 1,500 yards a year or 1,200 yards a year every year. He was money. And a great guy in fantasy football back when he was playing. That being said, that's pretty much the news that's out there. I did not get my Sion Vaki draft profile done, so that'll have to be tomorrow. I'm still doing some research on it. I was Both. Well, both. Good morning, Matt Henry. I don't know if you caught that, but it's not just the Vikings that have first round receivers that aren't signing in the North. JJ McCarthy hasn't signed his contract yet either. And I don't know if these rookies realize it, but you can't report to training camp unless your rookie contract is signed, is what I understood, is written in the CBA. I think Rome understands that. He plans on signing when they report to camp. So it'll be on film for Hard Knocks. And I get that, making it more pomp and circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Well, Will Vogel, I'm going to say this. Calvin Johnson was playing hurt since his second year in the league because of his back. And then you couple in that Matt Stafford didn't have touch on a pass until basically the year after Calvin Johnson. Isn't there only so much you can sign for as a rookie? What do you think the holdup is for their deals? Well, Rome said he would sign. That's a confirmed report. He's going to sign when he gets to training camp because he wants it on the NFL Hard Knocks episode. And that's cool. I like that. As far as Caleb and JJ, no one knows what their reason is. Caleb just keeps saying the same generic answer outside of what he told Mike Florio. He keeps saying, I let my lawyers handle that. But lawyers are not good negotiators when it comes to contracts in the NFL wise. There's nuances of the NFL contracts that an agent knows better, and I think that's where Caleb made his mistake. Brent DeWitt says, I've had a Calvin Johnson jersey for years. Megatron was beast, even without having total use of his thumbs. Yes. 1 year he sprained his thumb. The next year, his thumb didn't move right because he had his index finger. Unless you're Jamal agent. I heard a podcaster say yesterday that Michigan had the easiest road to the national title ever, and I'm like, Penix and Rome not top 10 picks in the NFL, and Alabama is always making it make sense. Uh, did he get fired? I'd fire him if I was Jamal. I don't know. I don't know. See, but at the time when Jamal was being released, the word was David Montgomery planned on resigning in Chicago. When they didn't make a deal that gave David Montgomery enough money, it made sense for the Lions to go to David Montgomery instead of Jamal. You tell me what looked better on the field, Jamal scoring from 10 yards out and his longest yard being 29, or no, he had a 151-yard run, but he did not score on that run. Or a guy that had a 75-yard touchdown run. What looks better to you? I'll take David Montgomery. Who do you think next retired Lion gets in Ring of Honor if there is one? Uh, yeah, he's in the Agent Hall of Fame, 100% about Cousins. But as far as that, it, there's a guy that fans didn't like a lot, but I loved him as a center, and it was Dominic Raiola. I would like to see him get into the Ring of Honor. Um, our O line fell apart when Dominic retired. Dominic was a big reason why those guards was good. I don't know if Stafford will come back here and do that because now there's so much hatred towards him. That if he does great, he gets in. 75-yard touchdown run, Monty. I won't lie. I question Holmes and Campbell for not resigning Jamal. That's the reason why I don't say anything about their free agent signings. They know what's going on. 100%. I saw one report by Fansided, which is an awful place to go for news sources, that's saying that maybe the Lions should trade away David Montgomery at the trade deadline if things aren't going right. And because he said if things aren't going right, I could see that. But I don't see where that's important to do right now. But they did say a guy they think will be cut in the next article, and I agree with it when you read through it. Sion Vaki and the way he performed at OTAs, the way he's performed on special teams at OTAs. So far, right now, he's running back 4 or 5 on the depth chart. They put Zonovan Knight ahead of Reynolds as well. So Reynolds could be the cut guy. Oh, I know. That's not why they're saying it. They're saying because we have enough depth with Zonovan McKnight and Sion Vaki, we could trade away Montgomery, get some draft capital for next year that we just gave up in those trades to move up on day one and on day three, that we could get some of those mid round picks back, is what they're talking about, Ricky. So they're saying that maybe Sion Vaki and Zonovan McKnight could be those change of pace backs to Jameer Gibbs for the remainder of the season. That block alone last year gives him an edge for me. But was he good as a running back last year? He wasn't. I understand the love of that block, but JMO's blocking to me was more impressive than the one block he threw. I'm sorry, JMO's blocking on that Chargers run that David Montgomery had, that's stuff of legends. Fred Peterson, good afternoon. It's a great day to be a Lion. One pride. Oh, I, let's compare this. Craig Reynolds comes up, runs past St. Brown while he's doing a couple moves, lays the wood on Carlton Davis, who's our current CB1 right now, according to everything I'm seeing. Or Jamison Williams, who chips a defensive end, knocks down a linebacker, rolls, runs up, chips Jerwin James, and then takes out the other safety so David Montgomery can get in the end zone. Which set of blocks seems more impressive? And when David Montgomery did in the interview, he goes, "Yeah, I was running full speed and it looked like JMO jogged up to take out the safety." JMO jogged up. Put that into perspective. And Amon Ra talked about Dan Campbell the other day on a podcast, and they said, "Is he really like that?" He said he's been the same day one as he is right now. He has not changed. He is that guy. He just has learned not to say some of those things in the media like he did. That's why every year it was less and less crazy what you were hearing on the podium with Dan Campbell. But as you know, he still says that shit to the team because we watched it on Hard Knocks in 2022. And they said that hasn't changed. He still talks like that. So I love the fact that Dan Campbell is that guy. Just making sure that Lions fans are okay since Gay Pride Month last ended in July. Yeah, or June. Uh, we're great because we didn't buy into that in the first place. I accept you if that's who you are. That's about it. Yes, Fred Peterson, there you are. I really like Craig, but I'm sorry. He had one mediocre game when Gibbs was out. He's not a back that can produce play after play. 100%. I had Vaki and McKnight making the roster over Gay Pride. Must be a Bears fan. Yes. Yes, Fred Peterson. He is. Orlando Escribano says, I hate everyone equally. Yes, I am in the Archie Bunker mold of person now. I don't hate any one race. I hate everybody equally. I have to get to have to serve as jury duty because every time I'm asked, he goes, do you hate anyone? Yeah, I do. Everybody. And he goes, what? I said, yep. I said, if they didn't do the crime, they wouldn't be here in court. Their delivery. You passed my comment. I didn't see it. Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't see your comment there, Doug. What was the comment, sir? Because I never even saw you comment there, Doug. I'm going back. I still don't see it. Yeah, it never showed up, Doug. I apologize for that, but sometimes some of the comments don't make it through. Reynolds was almost perfect on targets, receptions. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I didn't see that. That never showed up on my end. That's fine, but game to game production, he was not good. It didn't show. I went up and looked through the chat completely. I apologize. It's not there. Right, I know. Like phones are idiots about copy and pasting from YouTube. I probably would see it if I was on YouTube at the time, but I wasn't. So I apologize for that. I didn't see it either, Doug, but the way he acted after the NFC Championship, the way he acted in drop races isn't the guy I want. I would have rather had the guy walk off pissed. We're not talking about Josh Reynolds, we're talking about Craig Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is gone because of how he acted in the NFC Championship game. Andrew Brennan declared war on herpes. I did delete the ban him from the restream because I don't need that type of stuff be coming into here. Oh, nice, Brent. Oh. So what did you guys do over the weekend? As you can tell, I podcasted a lot. I started on a new show that I'm now a regular on with Ralph Williams called the External Bum Podcast, Saturday mornings at 9, where we pick our bum of the week and we give our rant. We can have bums if we want. He's supposed to be coming, but he had to go pick up a car part. So until that happens, and then we started our NFC North slash East Power Hours, and I decided the first hour is news and the second hour is comedy. It goes from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on Sundays. Oh, okay. You were talking about Craig Reynolds catching. Okay, no problem. You got to specify because when somebody talks about somebody catching a lot of stuff, they're usually talking about Jeff Ruffin. I know, Will. So I'm up to, yeah, I thought the same thing when he said it, Fred, 100%. But there was 2 Reynolds last year that had a really good catch rate. As a matter of fact, through his first 5 games, every catch Josh Reynolds had was either a first down or touchdown. And then he had a couple drops in week 6, and then another one in week 7. Then he had 3 in week 8. He had another 2 in week 9. It got to where he passed JMO in drops for the season, and no one even noticed. All anybody could talk about was the first 3 games that JMO had all of his drops, but Josh Reynolds had more drops than JMO. Orlando, you're still upset about that. BD, you must not have been paying attention because Von Doon's been talking smack about Lions. Yes, I am talking about JMO because after the first 3 weeks, everything he was targeted, he caught. That's awesome. I just have a few Europeans, nothing worth over shoulder melting. I've been out salmon fishing Lake Michigan. When I get a free morning, it's all self-taught, and it's been rough. LOL. Hey, so you're up there in the Uper region. Had his New York friend on and switched up quick. Oh, and we lost Jacoby Jones, and one of my fan crushes as a kid growing up, because she's the same age as me, passed away. Shannon Doherty passed away. She lost her battle with cancer. A 90-year-old passed away, and I'm like, man, that guy lived a full life. I can't even be upset about it. But he was the dad on Doogie Howser and a detective on Hill Street Blues. So we have lost a lot in 2024 and 2024. The 12 over 13 was for 2022, was targeted 5 times, 5 catches at 9.4 yards per catch. Yep, that's fine. Oh, you were just I gotcha. I don't know what the suspension's gonna be. Remember, it's under investigation. It was suspicion of driving under the influence because that's the way California has to word it. So until those results come back and an actual warrant is issued, you can't really say he'll be suspended. It could be just unfortunate timing of sleeping in the wrong spot. Maybe when they start running. Yeah, that's usually the salmon run usually starts up shortly because they start heading towards spawn points. So the salmon run's going to be starting up soon. That's why the tag started. I think it'll be closer to August before it gets hot and heavy. Who are we talking about? Craig Reynolds and his catching. He was 5 for 5 last year. Kudos. He got targeted 5 times in 17 games. That doesn't mean I keep him. NFL's about what have you done for me lately? When Gibbs was out, he didn't do well other than catching. 9.4 yards per catch. Great job. Happy for you. 9.4 yards. That means he had just over 50 yards receiving on 5 catches. I I canceled my subscription to Netflix last year. I don't know. Everybody's guessing what they're doing. I heard that they're more interested. Oh, they were talking about Jordan Addison because of the suspicion of DUI in California. He was arrested Friday night. He fell asleep with his engine running on the side of a road or expressway in California, and the CHP stopped to check him out. They smelled alcohol. They asked him to take a field sobriety test, and when he refused, he was arrested on the suspicion of driving under the influence, because that's how they have to word it there in the blue state. Yeah, I'm hearing a uke as well. I heard nothing about Adams being on the trade block. I don't think the Raiders want to get rid of him. There was an interview saying that Devontae's happy being there right now. So it changes. You remember, football players, especially wide receivers, are divas, and they change their mind as quick as people change their underwear. Right. Oh yeah, I know they're always in the big league. But yeah, they start running in September, October. So last year it was what somebody said 115, one reporter said 140, doesn't matter. It was in a 55, it's reckless endangerment, and he got a slap on the wrist last year. This year, if this actually goes and he's guilty, I see 2 to 4 games. If he's not, you might see 1 game, just because he made a poor decision. When are these kids in the NFL going to start hiring an Uber, getting a cab, getting a room, walking to the bar, or just stay home and get drunk there? It's getting ridiculous about the stuff we're hearing coming out of rookies every year. The Raiders are probably going to be pretty good this year. I don't know. They got a good defense. Their offense is the question. They don't have Josh Jacobs anymore. I'm interested to see how it goes. I like Aiden O'Connell. I think he has the shot to be something. The O line fell apart as he was starting to hit his stride last year. So I want to see what happens. And so far, it looks like they are going to be starting Aiden O'Connell over Gardner Minshew, which tells you the level of quarterback play. People agree with me that AOC might be better as a starter. Good afternoon, JB. I hope you are well and I had a great weekend. I worked Saturday. I had yesterday off, but I podcasted last night. Had a blast doing it. The NFC NFC Northeast Power hours in prime time started last night. The first hour will be news. The second hour will be nothing but comedy hour from the chat and from us. It was nice having Von Doom on. I'm hoping he can make it back in time to pop in for a few because he had to run and get a car part late after I already set up the show. But yeah, I've had a great weekend so far. I've been doing my studying up on Vaki to give a nice in-depth profile, and then next I will do Christian Mahogany. I might be able to get them both done today and tonight because I don't work today, so that might get done. What's up? Not me. I'm not allowed. LOL. Oh, I'm not up that way either, Dad. Smoking Dad has entered the chat. I mean, you can't have a comedy hour with that clown VD. Yeah, but if he gets too out of line, a shot will clear it up there. That's why he's called VD. Yes, everyone should give JB a thumbs up. I appreciate that, Path Rothwell. Yes, like and subscribe. We are currently at 467 subscribers. I see new people in the chat every day. It's been great. We are 33 subs away from 500, where we will do our next custom giveaway. And it's not necessarily a mini helmet. And Brent says, no kidding, Fred. VD is out there. But like I said, VD always gets cleared up with a shot. Twitter has changed. You now have to be a premium subscriber to Twitter in order to post your streams there. So temporarily, Twitter is out for me. Don't care. You know, everybody's changing their rules and everything else, but Elon Musk is going a little too far, saying, "Oh, you got to pay me a monthly subscription to post your podcast here." But girls can post their pictures of everything under the sun in there. As soon as it became X, I thought it was a porn site, and the first thing I saw was a pair of boobas staring back at me, and I was like, "Yep, there it is. It's Pornhub. Pornhub Lite." Just saying, it's funny. Some of them are really nice. I ain't gonna lie. But now Twitter is just like Instagram and TikTok. Lots of OF girls trying to get you for money. You want to buy my content? No. Us older guys know where to find it for free. Come on, I know you caught that. So what do you guys want to talk about now? Kelvin Johnson being put into the Pride Alliance, well deserved. Um, like I said, the beat writer said Craig. You know what? Pascal was healthy last year, and we didn't see a lot out of him. I'm wondering if he's another one of those guys that has a lot to prove going into his year 3 versus Levi Wuzariki is in his year 4. Pascal had flashes, but he didn't do enough to me to garner an extension. So he has to have a great preseason and a great year to jump somebody to be a starter, in my opinion. I think Marcus Davenport and Matthew Betts are our best options for starters right now because Pascal has limitations at defensive end due to the injuries he's had, has limited the style of play he can do. And I'm not even trying to be mean or awful. I'm just being realistic. Pascal has had flashes. He's had a couple of games where he's done great, but he's had more games where he has done nothing. I'm kind of underwhelmed by our second round defensive tackle picks the first 2 years by Brad Holmes and Levi Onwuzurike and Josh Pascal. I am more impressed with our third round pick, Aleem McNeil. That guy's out there every day, every snap almost, playing at one of the hardest positions to play that much on. And he performs at a very high level. His his performance coupled with DJ Reader's performance with the Readers prior with the Bengals before the injury is why our defensive tackle duo is rated the best in the league right now. Everybody can say it's not, but that's what the PFF and a couple of reporters have been saying. We have the best defensive tackle duo. Nowhere are we saying we have the best defensive tackle individually. Do not get that misconstrued. DJ Reader was 7th and Lee McNeil was 9th. But that is better because there's a lot of 3-4 ran defenses out there, which means there's only one defensive tackle on that field at a time. I'm not trying to twist my words. I'm not trying to go back on what I'm saying. And I agree with it. I think it is one of the best defensive tackle duos out there. I think the best linebacker core out there is the Jets, along with the best cornerback room. I think that's the Jets in the NFL. I'm talking about the whole NFL. The Lions have the potential of jumping up there, but until it's done on the field, you can't give it to them. The, the Eagles have the potential of jumping up there with the additions of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but you can't put them up there yet until they prove it. Because James Bradbury all but disappeared in that defense last year. Big Play Slay had 2 big games, and other than that, it wasn't much Big Play Slay last year. Dan Leonard, yes, here he comes. The Eagles are shit. 100%. I get it. I know why you hate them. But in my NFC East news, we learned that the Eagles have committed $300 million per year in salary over the next 2 years, and this year's salary cap was 258, and it's only supposed to go up 9 to 15 million, maybe 20 at most next year because of this whole uh, class action suit that happened. So, what are they going to do? Hey, Fred Peterson, I'm going to tell you right now. Love had 7 fantastic games out of 17. I am not convinced. I can't put him ahead of anybody that's an established vet in the top 10. And I don't consider Trevor Lawrence an established vet because he hasn't done crap either. And if you really think about it, Justin Herbert's had great numbers, but very little team success. I don't have him in my top 10. They're all lumped in that 11 through 15 area. And I even put Dak there because regular season, he's a top 5 quarterback, but the postseason, he's bottom 32. Right. I understand that, Dan Leonard. I heard about that already. Because CBS has bought up Skynet, and they might be getting a what was it, a $7.6 billion spread out throughout the league, which means 2.9 will be left to distribute to the 22 teams. That's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I said it might go up more than we thought because it was scheduled for 9 to 15. That's why I moved it to 9 to 20. We love our Lions, and is there a chance we go backwards? There's always a chance. The schedule got harder. Teams got better. We got better too. That's why I don't think we have much of a backslide. If anything, we win one less game. That's my opinion. I'm seeing so much about Caleb Williams being a top there. The guy hasn't even played a single snap in the NFL yet. Shaking my head. Who the hell are the people rating these guys? A bunch of idiots. Fred Peterson, he's not in my top 10 either. He's in my top 20 because he's one of the better rookies coming out based on potential. That's where I'm at. Everything is on potential with any rookie. That's Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. Man, Henry, I hope Jordan Love falls flat on his face this year. And Brent agrees that Jordan Love does have more to prove to me, anyways. I mean, yeah, he had 7 great games and he had, what was it? I'd say 8 mediocre games and 2 good games. 7 mediocre games and 1. The difference is he really didn't get a bag. It's a prove it contract still. Look at the first 2 seasons, Leonard. And in all actuality, the difference is the level of talent on the team didn't drop off like it did when he got his bag in LA. You have to look at the bigger picture. You're looking at 1/53rd of the roster, not the whole roster. As long as everything's good around him, Goff is a good quarterback. We have said this, and nothing has dropped off around him except Josh Reynolds. And was it really a loss with how he acted competitively? It wasn't. Hell, we got better by subtraction on defense by losing Benito Jones, Will Harris, and company. Well, you said he was going to drop off from talent the year before, where he had 4,500 yards and 28 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and he came back with 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. So you've been proven wrong once. I think you'll be proven wrong again. Keep talking the slander. Got time to talk on Facebook, but not jump on the podcast. Brent, I will say one thing. Chicago has dealt with divas a lot. Does everybody forget they're the one that took on Dennis Rodman and watched him marry himself in a bride's dress? Oh, you're still driving back to the house. You bum. Slacker. Oh. has a day off, tells me, "Yeah, I'll be there. Oh, I got to run and do this." So while everybody else was winning the division and Detroit was languishing in the basement, I remember every year. I know. I'm not going there. I'm not talking about that. I they won the games. Let's leave it at that. I know I'm giving you crap because I can, Leonard, but you know, we've got a good team. Oh, you hope it went to equals a championship, Matt Henry. You hope that Caleb Williams lives up to his potential. Otherwise, he could be the next Ryan Leaf, Jamarcus Russell, Andre Ware, Joey Harrington. That is the fear with every rookie drafted early that's a quarterback. And you can't tell me it's not because even you mentioned it last night in the chat. I could add a few others. You could add Trevor Lawrence in there because so far he hasn't lived up to the number one hype. And everybody that defends Trevor Lawrence, it's got to be the locks of love. Uh, it's the fact he looks like Sunshine from Remember the Titans is why everybody loves him so much. Yeah, I do understand the hope of the past because that's all we had as being a basement dweller for over what 8 of 10 years in the 2010s. We backdoored into a playoff with Caldwell because Matt Stafford went ahead and put the team on his back in the last 2 minutes 8 times to win 9 games. I get sick of the Caldwell love too. And then from 2000 to 2010, I don't even want to talk about it. Our team was garbage. We had good players here and there, but we had an awful roster as a whole, awful coaching, awful GM. They call it the Matt Millen decade of despair. And in all actuality, Chicago has dealt with it for a while too. They've had better success here and there in between. Mitch Trubisky's rookie year got him to the playoffs. That was under Lovey Smith, I think, too, wasn't it? And then Matt Nagy came in and ruined them. You can say what you want. You know, other than the Packers and occasionally the Vikings, there hasn't been a lot of success at the top of the NFC North. But at the same time, while we were languishing between third place and fourth place the entire time, barring a couple of years, I will say this: VD deserves crap. LOL. I will say this: us Lions fans, the true diehards, never went anywhere. We were here the entire time. We witnessed and bore it and had to hear, "We're the kings of the North," and the next year, the other team that wins it, "We're the kings of the North." And the couple times that Chicago won it in the 2000s, "We're the kings of the North." Well, when we finally win it and get to claim kings of the North for the first time, everybody complains. Bullshit. Anybody who wants king of the North has to knock the Lions out of it. That's what it comes down to now because that's how it works. If you win it the year before, you're the king of the North. You want to take somebody out of it, beat them. Trevor Lawrence gets treated like a prima donna. I don't get it. He hasn't even proven enough for me. T-Bone Lokes, hallelujah. Uh, my buddy Dom, he goes, God, I wish we'd have been bold and hired Patricia instead of Caldwell and have it further in the rearview mirror. And if you think about it, in 2018, when W.G. Brady of ESPN magazine wrote the article saying the Lions should have hired Dan Campbell instead of Matt Patricia and gave 10 glowing reasons on why we should have at that time. That could have been the progression. We could have had our bad years while the roster was going through the turnover from the Lamborghini defense to the Yugo it became, and had Dan Campbell in place. And pray to God Martha didn't hire Boob Quinn in 2017 because that was the biggest thing. Brent DeWitt, 64, and never wavered in my fandom. Great time to be a Lion fan. I think we've suffered enough. Oh, yes. I mean, talk about taking somebody over somebody. Somebody says, "Oh, you guys took Jameson Williams instead of Kyle Hamilton." Kirby Joseph has almost the exact same stats as Kyle Hamilton, and I don't get the hate for Kirby Joseph by PFF, by other fan bases, anything. Oh, Wayne Fontes would not be good in this NFL. He was not an X's and O's guy at all. It would take a even better coordinators than what he had back then around him to make him feasible. He was just a rah-rah guy. Go back and look at it. Wayne Fontes, the only thing he did was he brought in the run and shoot, and he goes, "Here, offensive coordinator, here's the playbook. Find the plays you want." Wayne Fontes was a partier and a player's guy. We've got him without the partying. We got Dan Campbell, and we got good coordinators around him and great assistants around them. And Brad Holmes, yes, is building a dynasty. It's not a dynasty yet. We have to get there more than once to start saying anything like a dynasty. That's all I got to say about it. I don't want to get into it. Dynasty is franchise stuff, 5 or more years of consistency. We've had year 1 of consistency. Let's have year 2 and possibly year 3, and then we can start talking about it. Caldwell was coaching for his next job, shaking my head, and he was doing it poorly. Yeah, hey, no, but you know what? The Tigers didn't pass on Mahomes too, so they can say something we haven't done. Oh wait, we finally did. And yes, 4 p.m. today, ESPN 25 on the early release day gets to, for those that paid for it on the electronic transport, get to play the game this afternoon. Congratulations. I will be waiting a few weeks to buy it after all the hype dies down because I don't have the money for it now, and nor do I want to spend money on a video game when I have other things more pressing to pay for. Until Matt Stafford won the Super Bowl in 2021, the bad part is the Tigers drafted more Super Bowl winning quarterbacks than the Lions. Let that sink in. I am not trying to throw shade, but it's the facts. The Tigers drafted a Super Bowl quarterback before the Lions drafted a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's how sad our organization was back then. I'm probably not, because the knock on Mahomes was a system quarterback, blah blah blah. Don't know if he can learn an advanced NFL system. Doesn't have. You know what? I just looked. There's not a show coming up after me, so we can run a little over if we want, I think. But yeah, you're right. It is that time. Second best winning percentage in in Lions history. Wayne Fontes was pretty damn good. But it is FTP time. Put it in the chat. Fornicate the Packers for the pride. 100%. And I'm going to leave it on a vote up to the chat. Do we go past noon today or do we stop at noon? There's 7 of you watching. Put your vote in the chat. And of course, my other sponsor, my favorite one, Brandon's Tire Service, right at the yeah, that's what I said. Bring back Wayne. Right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road in Flint, Michigan, where the tires are good, but the water's shit. If you need new tires, please call this number A10-233-8230. Ask for George, Red, or myself, Jeremy. If you need used tires, they start at $40 and up, depending on size and quality of tire. Yes, building, not there yet. 100%. I don't like throwing the dynasty word out too soon, though. I think it jinxes a lot of people. We've had people were trying to say the Giants were a dynasty because they won 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. Do you follow college football recruiting? Mostly just for the Wolverines, unfortunately. I don't get as much into it as I should. I basically just follow who are juniors and seniors and possibly coming out of college for the NFL because I like doing that type of scouting. I used to be a part of Max Preps because I had a couple of friends' kids from out of state and in state that I could get updates on to see if they got recruited for colleges. But drop some knowledge, Matt. What do you got? So, do you guys want to stay on past noon? We got a couple minutes to make the decision. If you do, say yes, because I've got nothing to do today. I got time. I can stay on longer. And that gives Dan Leonard enough time to get home and he can jump in the podcast, Leonard, if you're listening. And tell me anybody you want me to look up. I'll look them up right now and we'll go over their Max Preps review of a recruit. I have no problem doing that. I'm putting it to a vote if we want to stay on later. You know why? Because this is America, land of the free, home of the brave, and a former president that can't be killed. Didn't like him. All right, then we're staying on. Let's talk some football. Matt Henry, put it in the chat. Who do you want me to look up for high school recruits going into college? Oh yeah, I'm gonna stay going. I love talking football. I love talking with you guys. So if anybody wants to jump in the chat and ask a question, I'll go. Right. The transport portal used to be if you wanted to go to another school, the school had to sign the release. You had to go there, sit a year on the bench as a redshirt year, then be able to play. But it did not count towards your year eligibility when you sat for a year. And those rules change. Brent says, "Have a blessed day, Fred. Love texting you, brother." Yes, NIL has changed college football drastically. Name, image, and likeness. I think they need to put a cap on how much per year a kid can earn while in college. That way, they have some money to pay off everything when they get out of college. I think they are all going a little too far with it, and I think it would be behoove them to do so. I just think it would be real smart. So, what's your questions, guys? How about Wingo? Don't much about. Oh, I actually did my draft profile on Wingo. You must have missed the episode, Brent. Let me pull that up, and I will talk right about him here. There we go. So Mikai Wingo, let's see. Mikai's Wingo trajectory from the SEC to the NFL draft board underscores a DT with undeniable disruptiveness and a motor that doesn't quit. His tape is a clinic in backfield penetration, showcasing a DT who can shoot gaps with explosive bursts and consistently disrupt the pocket. Wingo's lateral agility and a high motor make him a nightmare for offensive linemen in college, offering scheme versatility as a gap shooter and a run stuffer. However, transitioning to the NFL spotlight, he'll need to bulk up his pass rush toolbox and sharpen his hand combat to counter the advanced techniques of NFL pro linemen. Despite an effective bull rush and a solid anchor against the run, Wingo's limited size and arm length raise questions about his ability to stack and shed against the size and power prevalent in NFL trenches. The critiques on Wingo's evaluation often circle back to his dimensions, how they might cap his effectiveness against the more imposing interior O lines of the NFL, and success at the next level will require him not to just rely on his first step quickness, but to develop a deeper repertoire of pass rush moves and a more sophisticated hand usage to disengage and penetrate. His high energy play style and ability to occupy blockers are pluses. Yet his path to becoming a staple in the NFL defensive rotation hinges on him mastering the nuances of interior D line play. Teams considering Wingo will have to balance his immediate impact as a rotational player with the developmental curve needed to turn him into an every down force. That is him in the nutshell. So his strengths, he has a great rush. He has a good first step. He knows how to push past the pocket and take on extra blockers. He's a plus in special teams play. His negatives, he lacks the size to go against NFL elite O linemen. Yes, I did. I missed it. So what do you think? Is that pretty good summary of what Wingo is? I'm not trying to hype or put conjecture of what he could be. His potential is to be an NFL starter. But right now he's a rotational piece. And I think it'll probably stay that way for 2 or 3 years. So we're staying on another hour. I got permission from the Roku side. There's nothing scheduled. Run it. So we're gonna stay on. I'm going to 2 o'clock. What the heck? Another 2-hour episode. Could be comedy hour. I'm inviting people of other NFC North teams in from Huddle Sports Network. So if one of them podcasters want to join me, they can. It's because of his size as the defensive end versatility. They said he will struggle playing defensive end at first because his lateral agility is more for shiftiness between a guard and center. He doesn't have a lot of that side to side agility to get around a tackle who tend to have better footwork than guards and centers. That's what I'm reading there, Detroit fan man. So it sounds like he's a defensive tackle who's undersized and needs to grow into his frame a little bit and bulk up because he's on the light side for his frame. Um, Let me see if I got it here. I think I do. Strengths exhibits explosive first step, lateral quick redirection skills, enabling effective gap penetration and utilizes play disruption. Let me turn off my ticker here for a minute. We all know that information. Utilizes a high motor and a relentless pursuit of the ball, playing with significant urgency across all game aspects, capable of leveraging his compact build to navigate multiple gaps, providing scheme versatility, shows promise, rush potential with active hands and a budding array of counter moves. Now remember, that's his strengths in college. Now let's go back to his weaknesses. I think that's this one. Weaknesses. Lacks a full arsenal of pass rushing techniques. Struggles with consistency in play finish and production, particularly in creating pressure and sacks. Can be neutralized by more powerful guards and double teams, indicating a need for improved strength and leverage. His undersized stature for an NFL defensive tackle may hinder his ability to control gaps and maintain point of attack. Strong the bull rush is highlighted. I'm trying to see the second part of his weaknesses here because need for improved strength and leverage. His undersized stature for his NFL may hinder. Yep. Okay. While agile, he shows limitations in lateral mobility, affecting his ability to pursue plays on the edges. So everything screams defensive tackle, but his size says he can play outside. Is why they did that pro comp of a John Randall slash Aaron Donald type of player. They're saying he's in that mold. They're not saying he will be that player. That's what the pro comp means. I tried explaining that to somebody else and they didn't get it. He can play outside, but he lacks that lateral agility for good shiftiness to get past better footwork offensive tackles. Right. I mean, right now, I think we got one of the best D line coaches in the league in Terrell Williams because he kept churning out a sack producer after sack producer for the Titans over the past few years. And now he's on our roster. And I think that switch from Todd Walsh to the guy we had last year, and I can't even remember his name, but we only got like 4 more sacks with way more talent on the D line than we had the year before. Think about it this way, the year before, John Comiskey was the starting defensive end and James Houston was the rotational player for the last 8 games. And we saw a lot more production out of those guys. Because we had better talent on the opposite side, they made Kamish back up Hutchinson, which led to a reduction in snaps and also a reduction in production. It's not that John Kaminsky is a bad player. It's because he was only on the field 9% of the time. He backed up Aiden Hutchinson, who played 91% of the defensive snaps. And that's the thing is, as much as I poo poo on AG, we got better defensive assistants behind him. And I think that's going to help our team more. But at the same time, if it doesn't, then AG's got to go. I'm sorry. I am sick of having a passing defense that's in the bottom five every year. We shouldn't be there. Our talent got better every year, no matter what it is with injuries or whatever. The production was there with more interceptions and more sacks, but yet we didn't stop anybody. I don't understand that. They still scored. So it is what it is. So what else you guys want to know? I know you were in for the Manu one because you said that was great that I did that. Now that I got that out of the way, getting rid of a few pictures to clear some room in my stuff. I still like this one, guys. That one's fun. So what's your next question, guys? Let me know. What do you want to hear? See, I actually canceled my subscription to Netflix last year, and when he hit the practice squad, I was hoping he wasn't coming back, and then they signed him back to the active right away, and I was like, that's sad. I've never been high on Craig Reynolds. It was a nice story, and that was about it. Well, let's go over the rest of the NFC North news that I did on Sunday. Some of them were here. Colin Klein of the Sporting News suggests that the Pack should sign Ryan Tannehill as a backup because Sean Clifford is unproven, and their third round UDF or their third QB is a UDFA. They putting a vet like that in case something does happen to Love makes way more sense because he is a proven starter at least at the NFL level who's adequate with a decent pieces around him. So I kind of agree with it. I think it would be a good move for them. I heard that Suckbelt may be fired to be waived to be signed back as a QB coach, and I kind of like that as an assistant to JT Barrett and Mark Brunell because, like I said, the only thing I think he does well is holds the surface at the perfect angle to keep the glare out of the eyes of the quarterback. I think it's more probable to be between 11 and 15 than it is to be in the top 10. There's always that possibility we could be that good. And if we are that good, we're going to go down as one of those historic defenses. Because if you're in the top 10, that means you did something almost number one. And if it's anything, I think it'll be run defense. The other things going around in the league, training camps start tomorrow. Woohoo! Rookies report for a lot of teams. Our rookies report on Friday. The vets report on Tuesday. The teams that start today or tomorrow, they report, and then their vets report on Friday. There's always a 4 or 5 day swing between when the rookies report and the vets report. It's because the rookies need more time to get their feet wet, get used to the playbook, get used to playing in it. Yeah, you love that. Okay. I mean, think about it. It does make sense. Sean Clifford, the only thing they've seen, he's only snaps he's seen has been preseason. At least it's somebody that has snaps. So Caleb Rome, JJ McCarthy, and Dallas Turner are not signed. So it's four guys in the NFC North that are not signed. Just to let everybody know, to put it in perspective. So maybe they're all going to sign at the beginning of Hard Knocks, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's taken this long. I don't know what the agent. Did you lose the YouTube talk, JB? No, I'm answering you because I haven't seen any other questions. But what I can do is turn down my phone, go back in there, and see what's going on. Let's see if I missed out on some stuff. Nope, I've got everything. I answered every question you asked so far. Just been waiting for it to come up. It takes a lag. There's a lag because what I say here live takes 30 seconds to a minute to get there. So by the time you guys respond to it, it takes 30 seconds to a minute to get here. So there's a minute lag between YouTube and the chat. I do get to it as quick as I can usually, but like earlier, I didn't even see that one comment by Doug. Yeah. So what's next on the questions? Because I didn't see anything else. But thank you for the compliment on the great job. Sion Vaki will be on tomorrow and possibly Christian Mahogany too, because that could possibly fill an hour. But let me see. I'm going to check my schedule for tomorrow too, because if there's nothing scheduled tomorrow, I could possibly do the same thing. Wow, 12 to 1 is an open time slot. So if anybody wants to continue talking, we can continue talking after the podcast. But I do go to work at 2, so I wouldn't be able to fill the hour, so that's probably not a good idea, but on Mondays I can, because I don't work. I think I lost the Facebook side of the chat, because, like, it disappeared. So I'm still in that 11 to 14 wins is where I have us at. 11 if we have a slight fallback, and 14 as a ceiling. Might be cutting it off at the half hour because people are dropping off like flies. I don't know what happened. But I got 4 of you watching on YouTube. Man, I love doing this stuff. It's what I get up for in the morning, literally, because I woke up, set up the show, and popped on. And I want to say kudos to my show chats. I have two of them, and one of my guys in there is the one that sent me the article about Calvin Johnson being put into the Ring of Honor, and that makes me happy that he's finally added there. He should have been added right after he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, but that is what it is. Yeah, T-Bone Lokes. Yes, sir. You got any questions about the roster or anything you want to talk about football wise or heck, even life wise? Life is boring. Oh, it's happy hour in lots of places. Happy hour runs from 1 to 4, sometimes 5 in some places. I might have to go hit a happy hour. I think I need a beer. But the chat just got lit. Let's roll. What's your next question? What do you guys want to talk about? Because I love talking anything. I mean, let's talk about our linebacker room. While everybody says it's weak, when you only need 2 starters, it's not as weak as everybody thinks. Because we either use an extra corner, an extra safety, or an extra linebacker in that nickel spot of the 4-2-5. Because that's what it represents when you're breaking down the numbers. 4 is defensive linemen, 2 is linebackers, 5 is defensive backs. Have a blessed day, everyone. Yeah, it just took a while. That's all. Have a great day, JB. Thank you, Brent, for coming in. I appreciated the questions. So every now and then you could even throw an extra defensive lineman and still run with the 2 linebackers, or you go with 1 linebacker and a corner or safety in that scheme. So there is a lot of versatility. That doesn't mean they don't use other formations. Occasionally you'll see a 4-3. Occasionally you will see a 3-4. When we run that wide 9 technique, if you actually look at it, the 2 defensive Red Peters said, "Happy hour, shit, I drank away way too much mango margaritas in the in-laws pool yesterday. I'm sweating it all out today." Oh, yeah, that's funny. Ah, take care, Brent. But, so, you know, nobody runs just their straight base defense. It's just you stay in your base defense about 70%. I love to see the fans get behind our depth chart instead of worrying about new free agents. Amen, T-Bone Lokes. I have been on that train. Every time somebody asks me about somebody outside of that, I'm like, I don't think it makes sense. There's guys that are just out there and they want to be paid. I understand Justin Simmons is a great safety, but he wants to be paid and he wants to go to a contender. And yes, the Lions are a contender, but he hasn't talked about taking less money. He said he wants to be paid like a top 3 safety. I'm not throwing that much money into the safety room when we got 2 bona fide safeties on our roster in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph and a budding Ifeatu Melifonwu. And everybody says, but Branch is a nickel corner. Branch played nickel corner because our safety room was full. There's a big difference there. They put him at nickel corner to get him experience in the NFL and let him play at NFL speed so he could be on the field more. That is exactly what they told us last year. And it's exactly what they told us this preseason. And everybody goes, oh, he's our nickel. I don't understand that reasoning. If you look at his PFF grades in college, he was better at strong safety. If you look at the PFF numbers for Kirby Joseph, last year he was ranked better, same amount of stats, but he played at free safety versus strong safety. So he's back at his natural position in the NFL. We should be applauding this. And we got good depth. Brendan Joseph is budding because Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch haven't been able to play at all. So our starters at OTAs was Brendan Joseph and Ifeatu Melifonwu. Nowhere did they say CJ Moore was taking first team snaps. And Brendan Joseph was doing a good job. He was getting interceptions. I mean, it wasn't every day, but like every 2 or 3 days, he had an interception over that 3 weeks time. Right. The Judon talk is different because he's on the trade block because they need to clear cap for this year and the future. So, and that's why I don't mind giving up somebody like either Comiskey or even Levi Onwuzurike in a future pick. I don't mind doing that to get somebody like Judon because he still has 2 or 3 years left on his contract. That makes more sense to me. A straight up one player, a pick or two. If it's Levi, you're probably going to have to give up 2 picks because he has no proof in the NFL he's going to get it done. He's had flashes, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So that's why I think somebody like Comiskey, who did play every game last year, granted it was in a backup role, might be a better target to send them because when he was a starter, he had numbers and production. So the drop off level won't be as bad. I've said this repeatedly. I would do that in a heartbeat, and then make Pascal the backup to Hutchinson, and let Betts and Davenport fight it out for starter. I think Davenport was brought in for his vet leadership more than his starting ability because he has not stayed healthy the last 4 seasons. His last healthy season was 5 seasons ago. And people don't think about leadership roles that players can take. And you don't have to be a starter to be a leader. We saw that because Charles Harris led by example on the bench because he wasn't playing well, and he was a team captain. Some people are better at leaders than they are players because what's that age old adage they used to say? Those who can't play coach? It happens a lot. Like I said, if there's a trade rumor that makes sense, I'll dive into it. I'll make up an offer to make for that player because you know what? If it's going to make the roster better, it'd be great. Hell, if it wasn't for the dead cap hit because we signed Davenport to 2 years. Right, Detroit fan man. I've been saying that all along. Amik being penciled in at the nickel, he doesn't like that position. And you know who could if he does end up at the nickel, you know who could beat him out because he just wants a chance to play? It's Ennis Rakestraw. Think about that. We could have somebody like Amik Robertson as our CB4. I'm so fired up about this team at every position. Hey, T-Bone Lokes, I am too. I like talking about the depth we have. And I like talking about the people who could be a starter. And the only reason why I give Betts an edge, he's only been playing 4 years, even though he's 29 years old. Professionally, he's only been playing 4 years. 1 year with Chicago, they changed the coaching scheme. They cut him without even trying him out in the preseason. He gets drafted in the CFL to the Elton Elks, the worst team in the CFL. Our cap right now, this season and next season with the lawsuit. Let's go to over the cap because they have been the best one for me and the closest to what's actually going on. Right now, we have 34.5 million. That is not an adjusted cap. That is actually what we have. Next year, because they also voided the Cam Sutton money for 2025, it is now 44.5. It was originally going to be 36. All we have in Cam Sutton money is dead money, which is $4.2 million now. The lawsuit, they cannot add it back in until the lawsuit is done. So the worst that'll happen is it'll be added 10.5 next year. Because next year there was no guaranteed money on Cam Sutton's contract. It was void money. That's already on there. That's done. So we have 44.5 million. So let's say if we do make a signing at somebody 10 million or less, which is 24 million, you spend the 4 million in injury signings because we all know someone's going to get injured. And you rolled that 20 million over to next year and got 64.5 million for re-signings and everything else. Doesn't that sound a lot better? Because then you don't have to worry about You just get to decide by who played better between Iffy and Barnes. Everybody knows they're probably re-signing McNeil because McNeil has been solid ever since he got here. Oh, okay. Potential to keep players due for contract at end of season. Yes, because it's called rollover. You roll over all but 4 million of your salary cap. It's 4 million is considered the injury exemption um, for in season because everybody has injuries. Everybody has to sign somebody at one point to the active roster and then put them back to the waivers and get a mild dead cap hit. That's what that 4 million's for. And Sutton did get an 8-game suspension from the NFL, so I don't think he has a leg to stand on in court. Plus, with the NFL voiding his contract on June 1st, which that did happen. Man, this is fun. I love talking that type of stuff because that's what I'm going to say it again. The video game that taught me more about salary cap than any articles out there was ESPN 2K5 and their franchise and the way they did it, or Legacy, whatever they called it back then. It's been so long since I played it on the PS2. Um, they were really good. You could front load and backload contracts. Okay, what potential players are due for contract at the end of season? Amik Robertson, who signed a 1-year deal. You will also have uh, Aleem McNeil, Derek Barnes, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Jameer Jefferson, and any of the UDFAs we signed in 2021, but most of them are off the roster already. So Brock Wright's got a 3-year deal because that's what he was getting with San Francisco, and we had to match that to keep him from the waivers. Uh, Shane Zylstra, Parker Hess, all these UDFAs because it's a 1-year deal, but they become restricted free agents when they were rookies. But if they're not rookies, they're no longer restricted free agents. They're just unrestricted free agents, UFAs, after this year. Let me look at that again and just go through it. Let's see who's there in 2025, or who's not there, I should say. No, we signed. Here's the other thing. I bet you Egwakun does end up our backup center. We signed him to 2 years. Isaiah Williams has signed another year, so he doesn't have to go. But Jalen Gaines, well, what position is he? Is he that UDFA corner we picked up? Safety. Or Jalen Garnes, safety. He came out of Wake Forest. We got him another year. There was another guy they were talking about, Isaac Ukwu. That's the defensive end everybody's been talking about. Uh, I don't think we really have to get rid of top players until probably 2026. If you look at the way it is, um, our cap is actually nice. 2026 is the weird year because that's Jared Goff's big contract jump. And let's get into that. Let me talk about it, and I'm going to say why. Jared Goff over the cap evaluation is 38.3. He makes 27.2 this year, 32.6 next year, which isn't that bad, but he has a $63 million dead cap. When he has the 69 million, you can save 5 million. We have 68 million that year. And that is Hendon Hooker's last year of the rookie contract. That is why I said it looks like a 2-year Super Bowl or bust contract for Jared Goff. Um, it has nothing to do with the player, it has to do with the team. I have always been a team above player guy. And guess who's due in 2026 if their fifth-year options are picked up? Jamison Williams, Aiden Hutchinson. Anybody picked after the second round of the year after that in 2024 are all due contract extensions. And in that year, in 2026, we have 69 million available without getting rid of Jared Goff right now, but that's because the other guys aren't signed that are going into next year. I like giving the reason why it looks this way it does. But Nate Suckfield's a free agent next year. Traquan Smith, Ben Neiman, Matt Farniak, Tom Kennedy, Coyote Awasika, Zonovan Knight, Dan Skipper, because he signed a 1-year deal. Nite Mutai, because he's at the end of his 2-year deal. Darius Fountain was a 1-year deal. Jake Funk was a 1-year deal. Kendall Vildor was a 1-year deal. Scott Daly's a 1-year deal. Khalil Dorsey is in the last year of his deal. Ife Melifamu, Emmanuel Mosley was signed to a 1-year deal. Levi Onwuzurike is in the last year of his rookie deal this year. Jalen Reeves-Maven is set. He's here for 3 years. Amik Robinson gets gone next year if they don't re-sign him at the end of the season. Khalif Raymond is gone after this season. John Comiskey is gone after the season. They restructured him to save money this year. Let's look at that. Is his dead cap more than he makes? So, nope. It still saves 2.5 if they did trade him now. That doesn't change whether it's cut or trade. So in all actuality, there is a chance Kaminsky doesn't make it. Because what if all these other guys that we picked up or signed balls out, and we have to decide who's gone? If it's Kaminsky, Omuzariki, or Pascal. What do I think is going to happen with Hooker? This is his developmental year. This is his first year of having an off season. We're doing nothing with him this year. He's not going to be trade bait. Year 3, that's where the dead cap and the salary cap gets a little more close to even. And if they were gonna move on, it depends on what he does in preseason evaluation. If it looks like he's progressing and trending towards being on the upper echelon of being developed, they're going to let him sit his rookie contract and then work him in year 3. Is exactly what I was thinking. Fred Pearson. I don't think he's going anywhere. Dan Campbell said he was drafted to be a high quality backup and possibly a starter due to major injury. That's exactly what they're developing for. And if you look at it, they're doing that Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers projection with him. And he would have been a first round pick. We got to steal him in the 3rd round. Everybody agrees he was one of the steals of that draft because of his potential, correct? So he was hurt till week 11, doesn't get to take a snap, doesn't get to play a preseason game, and everybody's up in arms on what we're going to do with him. There is many guys that said our best quarterback hasn't even touched the field yet in an NFL game. There are guys that have written for Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and NFL Network that have all said this. They think that re-signing Hooker or Goff was a mistake with Hooker on the bench. That said, well, with him not taking a snap, not knowing the playbook, and not knowing anything yet, and he's having mechanic issues this preseason, which can be worked on and developed, it makes sense to let him sit. That's why we re-signed Goff. He's not ready to be an NFL starter. Do I think he'd have a good time in this O-line with the weapons we got around him? 100% I do. Because he could just hand off most of the season and throw a few passes to guys. And he has a deep ball. And Ali McNeil, Jamison Williams, uh, Khalif Raymond, what was the other guy that went? Maurice Alexander has all said his deep ball is butter. When you're hearing that from other pros, that are vets now. We're talking about guys that have been in the league for a couple of years or more. It's nice to hear that his deep ball is butter. But the deep ball is not all there is to playing quarterback. And yes, T-Bone looks. Plus the cap tends to go increase every year as well. Nice. Yeah, it's supposed to go up another 9 to 20 million. Right here, they only have it at a 3 million increase, which means that's going to be a 6 to 17 million dollar increase right there. If you're able to roll over 20 million on top of that, and you get a 17 million dollar increase and it goes to 277, let's say. Let's go on the high end. You had that 17 to 44, there's 61 million. You had another 20, we got 81. 81 million to work with. I'm all for that. Give Brad Holmes 81 million in an off season to work with almost no dead cap whatsoever. Let me see what the dead cap penalty is. 6.5 million. He's going to have fun with that. In 2026, there is no dead cap. 2027, absolutely no dead cap. 2028, no dead cap. But also DJ Reader in 2028, DJ Reader's off, Brock Wright is off, and all we got on the roster is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penny Sewell, and Jared Goff. So in 2027, we don't have much there either. 2026, Alex Anzalone's off of there. Carlton Davis is off of there. But we only have 38 players under contract in 2026. We have 50 players under contract next year. So 50 players under contract, only 3 players to sign, and then 17 role players to sign. So that would be the year. If you got 81 million and you do your re-signings and get left with like another 30 to 40 million on top of the rookie salary without dead cap weighing down that roster, you can sign some good players for those 3 spots. And that's why I've said we might be aiming too high this year, but the goal is the Super Bowl. That's the goal of every team going into a season. If it isn't, you shouldn't be playing. I hope everybody understands why I get excited when I'm talking cap. We backload so many contracts. It isn't funny because that'll bite you down the road as you see. Oh, we have 3 players on the roster in 2028 and we only have 180 million in. Oh, the funds will be there for JMO. The funds will be there for Hutchinson. They are drafted in the same year. It'll be there. Because think about it. If you're going up 9 to 20 million every year, this next year will be at max 277. The next year, add another 20 million. That's 297. We'll be past the 300 million in 3 years. The problem that I heard is Philadelphia already spent 300 million on next season. Think about that. And 300 million on the season after that. And I just said it'll be 3 years before we get there. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow if you're an Eagles fan. You may be cutting bait with some good players to save money. So you're talking in 4 years' time, the cap is going to be about 317 to 330 million dollars. And if they make quarterback contracts separate from the team salary cap, it's over. Quarterbacks can make whatever they want, and everybody will have money to build their teams. And that's what they're talking about doing on this next CBA when it goes to the 18 game schedule, 2-game preseason, no OTAs, and straight to training camps with dual practices more than preseason games. I don't like it. I understand it. I know what they're thinking, and I think it's going to backfire because every time they reduce preseason or off-season workouts, injuries have gone up. I ever since Corey Stringer died, and they stopped 2-a-days because that was the one that did it. You can say what you want. When Corey Stringer died on the field for the Vikings because of 2-a-days, Injuries are up 33% for soft tissues. Major injuries, career enders are up 10%. That's because guys are not in game shape. And it went up another tick of 5% after they took out one preseason game. They take out another preseason game. All you got time for is evaluation. You will never see a starter step on the field. You will see rookies, second and third string only. And I don't like that because that means your starters are not in game shape. Just food for thought. So think about that. It's not taken into account that it could go up 20 million a year every year over the next 3 years. And I said we'll have 185 million with 3 players on the roster. 20 million for 2025, 20 million for 2026, and then in 2027 another 20 million. So that's 60 million added on and they got it at 280. That'll be a 340 million dollar cap space total. So that means we'd have 240 million to have to sign 53 plus 17 to fill the roster. That's just to fill the roster you can carry with practice squad combined. So you need 50 plus that's 67 roster spots. Divided into there, that's a little over 3 million per spot. That means you got nothing but prove it players in your entire roster. I don't think we're going to do that. I think they will get all their players and then sign a bunch of guys to just fill in the roles. This is the goal that you're hearing. And if JMO shows out, we'll have the money for him. 100%. Whew. That is the things I love to talk about. 100%. I love talking the financial side of football. I think I should just do a show one day where we just talk financials over the next 2 seasons because we don't know what's going to happen 3 to 4 seasons down the road, really. We don't know who gets re-signed at that time and everything else. Just look for it at the current year and the next year. Do those 2 years. I think that makes the most sense. Well, guys, I made it through almost the end of the second hour. I want to appreciate you guys for being in the chat. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make this world a better place. It starts right here. I wish my co-host would have said, "Hey, yeah, maybe I'll join." You bastard. But T-Bone Lokes, Fred Peterson, Brent DeWitt, Brent, all you guys, Doug, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention to me. A talking head when there's nothing really to talk about other than depth of the roster and players that might go through. I'm not sure how I feel about QB proposal. Well, think about it this way. That probably means that if Hooker's not developed by the end of that second year of Jared Goff's contract, which is the end of next season, you would probably not be getting rid of Goff and be trading Hooker. Just my 2 cents. Yes, go Lions and FTP. It's FTP every day here at Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. You know why? Because we can. There it is, FTP. Thank you for watching. Make sure you put your like in there. Make sure you. I love the fact you guys comment. If anybody watches the show to catch what they missed earlier, go ahead and throw a comment up. I do respond to comments that are put onto the shows after the fact. I don't mean any disrespect about missing comments. Sometimes these streams lose it. I don't know why, but I have been. It's been a blessed couple years of podcasting, and this is year 3. And I can't believe I got 576 videos because that's only the ones from Restream. That doesn't include the 2 years I was on StreamYard because they kept telling me, "Oh, you're out of space. You got to delete recordings." Okay, so I got to be getting close to like 1,200 videos because I did my 1,000th earlier this year. I'll have to go back and check the date of when I started and check how many videos I've actually uploaded. But thanks for watching, everybody. You make this old guy have a good day. I know some of you are older than me, and that's okay. We're all in that same generation. The no bullshit, put your nose to the grindstone, do your job, and go on with your day. Have a blessed day, everybody.